Well, hey everybody, John Rickland here, and this is every WWE Women's Champion ranked from worst to best. And this is including when, the first champion from 1956 till they retired the championship in 2010. They did have, the Divas and Women's Championships going on for a bit at that point. I did do a ranking video for every Divas Champion from worst to best. Check that out up here or at the end of the video, just on the off chance I forget to put it up there because I'm so busy. But with this, big shout out, by the way, to Appalachia WWE for the suggestion for this. I really do appreciate it, and thank you to everybody who has suggested topics for me to talk about in future videos. I will get to those as quickly as I can and in due course. With this, I'm not including NXT, Raw, SmackDown Women's Champions. Not that they don't matter. They do. They 100% do. Even the ones that weren't that good matter in the grand scheme of things, but this is going to just include the 54-year history until they retired that championship for whatever reason, for that stupid little butterfly trinket belt, the Divas title. But with this, 29 different champions, and you're thinking over a 54-year period, geez, I wonder why there was only 29. And there were multiple reigns by some of them. Well, remember, the Fabulous Moolah held on to that title for a really long time. So actually, cut that in half. And that's about when other champions started getting crowned. But let's jump right into it. Do not be shocked if I go into a few rants here. But with 29, I'm going to try to get through these as quickly as I can. Number 29, Harvey Wippleman. He was dressed as Hervina. He was a man dressed as a woman to win something from the women, to screw up the women's division. It's a good thing WWE didn't do that again at all. Oh, hi, Santino, winning the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal, you piece of shit, and piece of shit people that decided to book that crap. Yeah, Santino did that, but the whole thing is Harvey Wippleman, who I've never cared for, I never liked, I never thought he was a good manager at all. Never really cared for the guy. I just didn't. And the fact that he was a women's champion, ridiculous. Now, it would have been ridiculous no matter what male manager they used or, scrawny little piece of shit that they did. But, yeah, a man winning a women's championship, nope, that's pretty goddamn shit. But again, Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal, that was almost worse because at this point they weren't booking the women's title all that credible. But then we get to number 28. Sable. Sable had the championship for 176 pissing days. Candice Michelle, Jazz, Victoria, I don't even believe had the title that long. Lita's combined reigns did not equal Sable's one reign. Various other names I'm going to mention in here. Nope, Sable. And look, I know Sable and Brock are happy together. They have kids. They're living their life. That's fucking great. No, seriously, that's great. I'm happy for them if they're happy together. Sable was one of the biggest abominations ever in wrestling. I'm sorry, if you disagree, that's fine. You can disagree all you want in the comments. You can disagree by finding me on Twitter. I always put my Twitter handle in the description, but Sable was a goddamn dumpster fire, a garbage heap. And sorry, basically acted like a goddamn gutter slut on TV. And she did. And it wouldn't have mattered if she acted like that if she wanted to take bumps. She didn't want to fucking take any bumps. But no, you had two jack-offs, both named Vince, that were fixated on Sable. And one is a bigger jack-off of a Vince than the other one. At least the other Vince had a lot more success. And if you can't figure out which one's the bigger jack-off, I really can't help you because you obviously, don't know me all that well. Sable was an atrocity in the ring. Just a goddamn atrocity. The worst. The fucking worst. If she had wanted to take bumps, I might have had about that much more respect for her. I mean, maybe that much more, honestly, but the feud with Luna was ridiculous. Luna never held the WWE Women's Championship. Luna never did. Luna, who's, who bled herself and who, and her, the Fashawn family bled on many, in many countries and on a few continents and everything. Nope, Luna couldn't get a title run. Nope, but Sable did. Sable. And Sable had probably the worst women's match in WrestleMania history. And yes, I'm even factoring in the Trish Stratus, Christy Hemme title match, because at least Christy was trying. Like, she wasn't any good because they thrust her out there right away because Lita got injured, but Sable's the one that they include here. No, fuck Sable. I mean, that's Brock's job, but Sable was an abortion in the ring. She just was. And they brought her back after she had sued the company for sexual harassment. Look, I get that it was a different era and everything, and they didn't care about the women's title. But why even have a women's title at that point? Because they had brought it back after a few years and everything, after what Alundra Blayze had done with it. I'm sorry, justifiably on Nitro. And I don't blame her necessarily, even though she said she regretted in interviews. But Vince didn't bring it back for a while, and then Sable ended up eventually winning it. And I'm sorry, I just can't fucking understand it. I just can't. I will never understand why Sable was seen as somebody that should have been in the ring. You want to have her, on goddamn TV or in goddamn Playboy, whatever. Why the fuck anybody would want to look at her in Playboy? A goddamn real life Barbie doll, I have no idea. Nothing wrong with that if you guys want to, I just don't fucking get it. But Sable, goddamn idiot. She just was. Couldn't speak, couldn't cut a goddamn promo at all, couldn't dance, didn't want to wrestle, didn't want to take any goddamn bumps. Shouldn't have been in the goddamn ring. Got over $1 million for her spread in Playboy, and that money should have been given to a whole bunch of other women there. Ivory, Luna, and a whole Jacqueline. I'm sure there are other women that were in the company that were actual wrestlers, actual talents, people that deserved TV time that could have used that money, but no, let's give it to Sable, who never fucking earned a penny. Was just giving it because she probably got on her goddamn knees for both Vinces, and I'm sorry, I don't care if I lose viewers because of that. Sable was a goddamn trash heap. Now we move on to number 27, the Cat. Jerry Lawler's wife, one of them. This is when it was pretty obvious that Jerry Lawler just kept liking to marry young girls. Fortunately, ones that were at least out of high school, which I know was a bit unusual for Jerry, judging by the alleged, in the biggest quotations possible, stuff that may have happened with him. The Cat, who was at the time Jerry Lawler's, I believe, girlfriend, might have actually been his wife. She was champion for 50 days. I want to say this is when she was teaming with China, and I'll get to China later, and I'm not going to dog China. But the Cat was just trash. She just was. She, no personality, no nothing. Didn't deserve to be on TV. And then we get to Deborah at 29 days. That's number 26. Yet Deborah was women's champion for a bit, for almost a month. Deborah, I want to say right now, and I've said in other videos, Deborah did not deserve the treatment she got from Steve Austin, especially that domestic abuse. She did not deserve that. As far as somebody in the ring and somebody that was in wrestling, as a character, she was rotten and didn't deserve the TV time that she got. Person? Not going to pick on the person. But she was somebody that, I'm sorry. I'm fucking sorry. Her being champion, if they thought Alundra threw the belt in the trash, all they did was throw the belt in the trash by giving it to Sable and the Cat and Deborah and others. That was bad. Number 25, and I don't fucking care how controversial this is. Over 4 reigns, 10,778 days for the Fabulous Moolah. I know that she was the one that basically, conceptualized this region, or, the national championship. I believe it was at the time the NWA Women's Championship, and then she brought the belt with her when she got in with the McMahon family and stuff like that, but it just... The Fabulous Moolah held a whole bunch of damn people down and was champion way too goddamn long. And I'm putting her down here because of all the bullshit that she did and all the crap. Where if even 25% of it is true, if even 20, because again, you don't know what is and isn't true. I would have a very hard time believing that some of it wasn't true. I hope the Fabulous Moolah is burning in hell for what she did, and she should be, because she was a horrible goddamn person. Somebody that should have not won, the title back at WrestleMania 2. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, and them screwing over Wendy Richter and all that stuff, that was a great idea. I'll get to Wendy Richter later, don't worry. Yeah, Fabulous Moolah deserves to be burned in hell for what she did. So yeah, I'm ranking somebody that held the championship for 10,000 some odd days this low. If you don't like it, too bad. You can call me biased. Yes, all wrestling fans are biased. We all have our favorites and our least favorites. Number 24, Velvet Bakatari. She held it for 6 days. Yep. Nothing against Velvet Bakatari. She just only held it for 6 days. Number 23, Bertha Faye held it for 57 days. I know that she was better in Japan, if I recall hearing correctly. She did win the title from Alundra Blayze at SummerSlam 95. Held it for a bit and then lost it back to Alundra in October of 95. And then Alundra was promptly, a whole bunch of women and people were cut from the company due to budget cuts. But what it really was is she just wasn't somebody that you really could invest in. Monster heels, there's nothing wrong with that, but I just didn't care for her. I just didn't. I know she passed away, so I'm just going to move on from that. Number 22, Lanikai, 41 days. She was better as one of the members of the Glamour Girls. Her and Judy Martin, I believe. Yeah, she was champion at one point. Nothing against her, just eh. Number 21, Gail Kim. She held it for 28 days. I believe won the title on her first night. And never held the title again. Is any wonder why Gail Kim maybe likes how she was using an Impact a whole lot better. I actually got to see Gail Kim live at, I think it was an 04 Raw. The Raw right after Unforgiven 2004. And it was her. I want to say Nydia was even in there. I think Nydia was still wrestling with the company at that point. It was nice to see Gail Kim live, but she was used a lot better in Impact. 28 days, and I mean, she wasn't ready to win the title right off the bat. They gave it to her, and then it flopped, and then they blamed her. And it's nothing against her, just it totally flopped. Number 20, Stephanie McMahon at 146 days. You know that there is something really wrong with my list when Stephanie McMahon is not almost ranked in the bottom 3 or 4. But this is when they were treating the title like a prop and everything, and I believe she had beaten Jacqueline for it, but there was a whole big schmoz and everything. DX kept interfering, and Jacqueline lost, and then Stephanie held it 146 days, nearly 5 months, and then Lita beat her. Thank Christ. But at least this was a storyline. Now, it was terrible. Stephanie McMahon even knew she wasn't a wrestler, and she isn't a wrestler now. Sorry, she's not very good. She's really fucking not. I can't name one good match she had where she wasn't carried or wasn't part of a package like the Mania 34 match that, with Rousey, Angle, and Triple H. It was actually really good. 100% better than it needed to be, or deserved to be at least. But yeah, Stephanie McMahon ranks up here because at least with this, the payoff was fine. Lita beating her, that was fine. We get to number 19, Layla, 131 days. Maybe people might be shocked I ranked her this low. I love Layla, and Layla was good. Layla, I thought at times was excellent. Her and Michelle Mccool were a good team. I think, though, that on her own, I think she could have done a lot better. But 131 days, nothing to sneeze at. And quite frankly, deserves her ranking here, even if it is a bit low. I mean, this is when the Women's Championship, and all due respect to Layla, this is when the Women's Championship, the Divas Championship, we're not really seeing that great a light. They were just shoving the women out there just to do some shit. Hey, go out and entertain people for a bit, and everybody sat on their hands because WWE had drubbed everyone over the goddamn head for years and years and years and years and years that the Women's Championship, the women's wrestlers don't really fucking matter. And even though Trish, Lita, Molly, Victoria, Ivory, and a few others got him back into it, for a few years. After that, Mickie James and then later Natalya, Alicia Fox, a whole bunch, Melina and Beth Phoenix, and a whole bunch of others tried to get him back into it, and the crowd sat on their hands because WWE had basically said, nah, these women don't matter. Now, they did. They do matter. As much as I pick on certain women I don't care for, they do matter. Women's wrestling does fucking matter. Some of the indie shows I've been to, the first indie show that I went to for a promotion without a cause in October of last year had Priscilla Kelly versus Thunder Rosa, which was actually probably the best match on the goddamn card. I really enjoyed it. The whole point is, women's wrestling is getting really hot again, and that's great. Layla, though, good champion. Can't name a ton that was big about her reign, but it certainly wasn't bad. And then we get to number 18, Candice Michelle at 105 days. Many might be shocked that she's ranked this high. Now, I want to explain why. Was Candice great in the ring? No. Was she good in the ring? At times. But she was decent. She improved. Considering what they hired her for, to basically be there for her looks, and she was part of, I believe it was Vince's Devils and stuff, like Vince's Little Devils or something like that. Forgive me if I got that wrong. It was her, Victoria, and Tori. Victoria. Boy, that must have gotten confused if they ever said Toria and Tori. But anyway. Toria and Tori sounds like, a bad British Parliament fight. But also, with Candice, she improved in the ring. And winning the title when she did, I was certainly shocked. Now, I was happy for her, because I was just like, man, what? Okay, well, hey, it's all right. Because the Ashley Mazzaro experiment had failed, and part of that was on them making her go out there with still a busted leg. I mean, I think she had a plate in her shin, or calf muscle, or near her calf muscle, or something like that. Or she had like a bad injury, and they basically just taped it, rubbed some dirt on it, and said, go back out there and wrestle. Candice improved. She only got one title rank because she did suffer a pretty bad collarbone injury. And unfortunately, that did shorten her career as far as in-ring in WWE. but I thought her title reign was fine. And considering where she was or what they hired her for, and her coming over here and wrestling, her improving, at least all things considered, I thought she could have a good match, especially with the right person. Her and Beth had a good feud. So there we go. Then we go with number 17, Rockin' Robin, 502 Days. Now, Rockin' Robin, pretty good wrestler, what, I've been able to see of her. 502 Days, you might think I'm ranking this a little low. This is when the Women's Championship just really wasn't getting the attention it fucking deserved. It was like, it would, not on pay-per-views, but then again, they only had like 3 or 4 at the time during that era. She would get, syndication TV time and would be promoted as, I'm the Women's Champion, all that. But other than that, there really wasn't a whole lot of fire to her. Now, she was a good worker, and 502 Days is nothing to sneeze at, and that's why she's ranked here at number 17. Number 16, I'm going to get hate for this, but I got a reason. Chyna. She had it for 214 days. Before anybody jumps down my goddamn throat, I want to explain why Chyna is ranked this low. Yes, it was a big moment when she won the title at WrestleMania 17 over Ivory. Match was a squash. What the fuck do you expect? That's what it was supposed to be, especially the payoff. She did have a couple other matches, one against Lita, I believe, at Judgment Day 2001. And then that was it. I think that was her last match. So she held the title for 214 days, but it was kept she was kept inactive for several months and then finally released from her contract, if I recall the story correctly. So technically she only had the title for 60, 70 days. That's not picking on her. It's a big moment when she won it. The problem is the title reign never really got off to a start because of the whole thing with the company and her and the company having, let's just say, a disagreement, for lack of a better word. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to get back in the company to be inducted into the Hall of Fame before her tragic death. Got put in the Hall of Fame along with DX, so, it's something. But her title reign, yes, big moment winning. After that, there really wasn't much. In 214 days, you really should just take that and cut it in a third. That's not picking on her. Just stating the fact. That's why she's here at number 16. So again, don't jump down my throats, Chyna fans. I'm not saying she doesn't deserve her place on this list, but when most of that reign was basically inactive because she wasn't wrestling or the company wasn't having her wrestle, I gotta rank it lower. Number 15, Bull Nakano, 134 days. Love Bull Nakano. Have no goddamn idea how Bull Nakano, change her look so dramatically. Look at her wrestling look in the 90s and even in some of the 2000s. And then take a look at her now. I think she's almost 50, or I think she is 50 about now. And looks totally different. And I'm talking weight loss and stuff like that. Not that she was fat. Not that would have mattered if she was bigger anyway. But just looking at how she looked and looking at her now, it's okay, that's quite a difference. Bull Nakano, though, love what Bull Nakano and Alundra Blayze did. They had a great feud. I think they had probably better matches in Japan. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked. But Bull Nakano deserves her place on this list. Number 14, Michelle Mccool, 278 days over 2 reigns. Yep, she's here. I talked about her in the Divas Championship video, which again, if I don't put the link up here, it's at the end of the video. But I was never the biggest Michelle Mccool fan. I was always more of a Layla fan. Sure, you can make the argument about Michelle Mccool maybe getting more TV time because she was with The Undertaker. I wouldn't be shocked. But whatever, she wouldn't be the only person in general that got more attention or more TV time because of who they were seeing backstage. And I'm not talking women, because guys got the same damn treatment too. Or Vince's favorite. If you're Vince's favorite, and you happen to be dating somebody that he likes, then, as far as a talent, the respect that Vince and Taker have for each other, yeah, you really can't say anything other than, the whole point is the company is going to push who they want. And I know I'm going a little off topic here, but Michelle Mccool was a good champion, though. She did put in the work. She worked really goddamn hard. And fortunately did, this is more recent, well after her career was done, that she did overcome a bout with skin cancer and got the A-OK. That is fantastic. But 278 days over 2 reigns. She was good as this and the Divas champion, so I gotta put her up here, even if it's not that high. Number 13, Melina, 279 days over 3 reigns. Melina never really seemed to get all the love that she should have gotten, but I enjoyed quite a bit of her work. And, you could chalk that up to possible backstage stuff. Who knows how true that is. But she was a good women's champion. She was. I can't say she she was like world class or she was spectacular, but her in-ring work was actually pretty damn good. Her and Beth had an incredible feud. Like, I really liked that one. I think it was like over the course of like some matches in 2009. Royal Rumble 2009, and I want to say Extreme Rules 2009 stick out in my mind in particular. But the Royal Rumble one I thought was okay. But the whole point is they had really good matches. And Melina deserves her place on this list. Number 12, Jacqueline. Or as the Durbinator said one time, Jaqueline, thanks, Derb, if you happen to be watching this, because now I've had to check myself and make sure that I don't make that mistake. Because I've almost said, Jaqueline instead of Jacqueline several times. But she had the title over 2 reigns, 117 days. Jacqueline, legit tough, massively over. Still legit tough, even into her 50s. Probably could kick a lot of ass. In fact, I would be totally fine with her being a legend in upcoming Royal Rumbles for a few years until she decides to retire. Because if I'm right, I think she was in the 2018 one. I don't think she was in the 2019 one. I'd have to go back and watch it because a lot of stuff tends to go through my head, just leave right out. But not that you could tell with, how crazy I am with these videos. But Jacqueline deserves her place on here. She was really good. Still, I'm sure is really good. Her and Gail Kim had an incredible match at Lockdown 2007. But as far as WWE, yeah, given a lot of the marginalizing they did with the women, she deserves her place here. Number 11, Jazz, 162 days over 2 reigns. I wanted to rank Jazz in the top 5. The problem is injuries kind of undercut what Jazz could do. Now, she had a good feud with Trish. And some other stuff. She did pretty goddamn well. But again, injuries kind of undercut. I don't recall her doing too much after, like, mid-2003, early 2004. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't really recall her doing all that much. I think she might have gone down to Ohio Valley Wrestling. I know she's doing stuff in the NWA now, but I'm talking about her WWE career. She was good. I'm sure still is good. But I enjoyed her work. I enjoyed her work, even if she scared me because she probably could have kicked my ass and the ass of everybody else that I've ever known. But then we get to number 10, Lita. 160 days over 4 reigns. I know you guys may be wondering why Lita's ranked this low, but I just gave you the numbers right there. This is where the numbers are going to come in because I couldn't put somebody that only held the title for an average of 40 days, per reign. I mean, obviously some reigns were shorter. She had that one short reign in 2005 because she suffered that knee injury. Lita, well, actually, yeah, because she won it in December of 2004, and then after New Year's Revolution 2005, suffered that injury, and unfortunately wasn't able to continue. Lita, however, flashy, great, great in the ring, really impressive. Okay, great in the ring, maybe you could argue that she was flashier and everything, but she did goddamn good, and she did really, really well, and Lita... Yeah, the whole stuff with the Edge and that kind of stuff, you can say that all you want. I like the feud she had with Mickie James to close the length, the full-time run of her career, and she's had appearances since then. But Lita deserves her place on here. That's why I'm putting her number 10. Number 9, Wendy Richter, 449 days over 2 reigns. Yep, the whole screwing of what happened with Moolah. Yeah, I hate that. Vince did her dirty by that, and I don't blame Wendy Richter for coming back in. Or, not wanting to come back for a good goddamn while. I mean, then, you had the whole thing with Moolah and Velvet McIntyre WrestleMania 2, but yeah, that wasn't very good either. It's just, good God. Wendy Richter deserved a whole lot better, though. In 449 days, she was a pretty damn good champion, especially at that point when the women weren't featured all that well. They were featured more as a sideshow act. She was pretty good. And so that's why I'm going to rank her up here. Number 8, Sensational Sherri, 441 days. Okay, again, you could argue that maybe I'm being a little biased here because of... Well, Rockin' Robin was 502 days as champion. I ranked her all the way down there, but I'm ranking Sherri up here. Sherri was tougher than a lot of the guys. And I'm glad she got in the Hall of Fame before she passed away, because that really would have saddened me. Sherri, though, Sherri was great. Sherri was great on the mic. She was a catfight girl in the ring, tough, legit. 441 days, she spoke volumes as a legit tough woman as champion. That's really all I have to say there. What else can I say about Sensational Sherri? Go check out some of her matches. She did good stuff in the AWA. Wasn't really used that much as a wrestler in After like maybe her first year or so in WWE. Like she was used just more as a manager, but by then she was like beat up and she probably didn't want to wrestle as much. And also Vince was focusing more on having managers. And Sherry was a great manager. She was great with, I want to say, Ted DiBiase. Well, it was Savage, Ted DiBiase, and Shawn Michaels. And I'm sure there are others I'm forgetting about, and I do apologize for that. I mean, Harlem Heat, but I mean, Harlem Heat was WCW. Not slighting WCW. Harlem Heat actually benefited greatly from Sherry. In fact, I really kind of wish Sherry had been around still and then could have been inducted with Harlem Heat. But I know they honored her perfectly with that because that's how good Stevie and Booker were to her. Or at least as far as I could tell, because they always seem to be really good together. But anyway, as champion, great stuff. And then we get to number 7, Beth Phoenix, 367 days, 3 reigns. One's going to question why I ranked another one with that same amount of days higher. But you'll find out. Beth was really good. And is still really good. I'm not trying to discount that. But as women's champion, great. Glamazon. She was powerful, beautiful, could work, could lift some of the guys. I mean, the whole thing she did in the Royal Rumble 2010 was really good. With Khali and everything. Having to kiss the living Easter Island statue with Hank Hill's dad's knees. I mean, good God, that was freaking scary. Look, I'm sure Khali's a nice guy, but good God, I don't need to see him on TV anymore, ever again. Please, for the love of God, don't bring him back. So, Beth, though, great champion. Sure, combined with just held it over a year and everything. Maybe should have held it longer. But I got to rank Beth up here. She's just really goddamn good and is still good. Number 6, Molly Holly, 301 days over 2 reigns. Yes, Molly Holly, the woman that was willing to get her fucking head shaved to get a woman's title match on the Mania 20 card. I don't want to clap too loud because I don't want to hurt your guys' ears. But Molly Holly, great. Molly Holly was great, whether she was Mighty Molly, whether she was, didn't matter. She was just great. Like, terrific, can still wrestle. Did great in the 2018 Women's Royal Rumble. I'm sure could still work if they brought her in as a short-lived tag team with somebody. I mean, I don't know who the fuck they bring her in with. She could do well. I'd like her to have a one-off. You know what? Little fancy booking idea. How about a one-off where she faces Lacey Evans on a pay-per-view? I'm not saying I want Molly to win, but say Lacey wins. Say Lacey wins the title at some point, the Raw Women's Championship. And you have Molly Holly in there. You have pure and wholesome Molly Holly against the lady of WWE. I mean, I'm not saying Molly needs it. I'm not saying Lacey needs it, but that'd be kind of cool. Anyway, yeah, Molly Holly deserves her place on here. She was really goddamn terrific. I wish it would have let her hold the title longer, but it was what it was. We then get number 5, Ivory, 331 days over 3 reigns. Yes, Ivory deserves her place on this list. Good God, does she ever... had to put over the Fabulous Moolah in 1999. And you wonder why I hated some of 1999 and wrestling in general. Good God, it was a fucking mess. Anyway, so, yeah, Ivory deserves her place here. Ivory was great. I'm sure could still wrestle if she wanted to. I know that she appeared at Defy Northwest Wrestling Show in December. I had to miss that. But... Ivory, I'm sure, because she got inducted in the Hall of Fame, and good for her. Like, Ivory really was a good, good piece to the women's puzzle, and WWE in general for a number of years, whether she was wrestling in the ring, or she was, a manager, and she wasn't a manager very long, or at least, a manager that they did much with, or where she was a backstage announcer. But anyway, we then get number 4, Alundra Blayze, 539 days over 3 reigns. Alundra Blayze, Medusa, whatever you want to call her. My God, she was great and a pioneer for women's wrestling in the modern age. Great in Japan. She, in the AWA, she was good. She was marginalized in WCW after a bit. Had to face, Ed Ferrara, that worthless fat fuck, that made fun of JR's Bell's palsy. No, I'm not going to let that go. And if I ever saw Ed Ferrara, I'd scream at him, and hopefully other fans would too. Scream at him and tell him he's a piece of shit for what he said about JR. Anyway, yeah, Alundra Blayze, come on. With what she did and how, she made the Women's Championship matter in WWE, despite the fact that WWE creatively was pretty much at a standstill, she really made it matter. Didn't matter whether she faced Lanikai at WrestleMania 10. Bull Nakano, it didn't, Bull Nakano later, it didn't matter. She could always make a match matter. She was great in the ring, great strength and everything. Outside activities, and I'm not talking the monster truck stuff, some of her beliefs, but focusing on in the ring, Medusa, really goddamn good. And deserves her place here. Number 3, Mickie James, 367 days over 5 reigns. Main reason I'm putting, not putting Beth where Mickie is, despite the fact she had the same number of days with 2 less reigns. That Mickie Trish match at WrestleMania 22, it deserves its place in history. Great match, great hot crowd. Mickie embracing the whole thing of like her, being the heel despite getting cheered, so she was embracing the crowd reaction. Yep, grabbing Trish's stratosphere maybe did not go over well with Vince. I don't know why, because it got attention. And I'm sure that they went over it and everything, but apparently Mickie was reprimanded about that. Again, it's not like Vince hasn't done goddamn worse. But that being said, she was really good as champion. Sure, okay, one of her reigns, I believe, was that whole Mickie James thing, and by God, that was terrible. And I hated creative for it. I hate Michelle for it. I hate Layla for it. I hated creative for it. Let's make fun of Mickey's weight. Mickie looked like a human woman. She didn't look like a stick figure. And again, nothing wrong if you look like a human woman or is whatever. But WWE being a jerk, being the jerks that they are, Vince in particular, and I'm pretty certain John Laurinaitis and Kevin Dunn probably had something to do with it too. All that was pretty much bullshit. But Mickie, come on. She's still doing well despite not getting much of anything the past couple of motherfucking years. She is somebody that hopefully, hey, maybe could be SmackDown Women's Champion one more time. Well, for the first time, but be champion one more goddamn time before her WWE career ends, which I don't know if it's going to end anytime soon. Who knows? But they should give her another championship run. My personal opinion. Mickie, number 3. Number 2, Victoria, 244 days over 2 reigns. Personal favorite here, biased, yes, I love Victoria. I love the feud she had with Trish. I love the fact that she beat her at Survivor Series 2002. And the match she had against Molly Holly, WrestleMania 20. Victoria, face or heel, I preferred her as a heel. I mean, she's super likable as a face. Apparently, according to a lot of people I've talked to that met her, said she is really nice. I'm sure she is. I kind of hope selfishly that one of the wrestling promotions that I frequent around here can book her before the end of the year for one of their shows. So hopefully we can, I can meet her and just say, hey, I'm sure you hear this a lot, but you are really, you were one of the big reasons, still are one of the big reasons I like women's wrestling as much as I do. But Victoria, yeah, 244 days might seem a little bit low for ranking this high, but personal favorite of mine, that's why I'm putting her here. Number 1, Trish Stratus, 828 days, 7 reigns. What the fuck else do I need to say about Trish Stratus? Sure, okay, that one reign from like January of 2005 to April of 2006 where Trish was injured. She was injured or something. I mean, like for a few months they didn't take the title off of her. Sure, you could argue about that one. That maybe they shouldn't have. They should have taken the title off her and then she could have won it back later. But whatever. Trish, yes, as far as modern women's champion, greatest. At least as far as like statistics go. Am I saying she's the best in the ring? No, there are a few that were better in the ring. But Trish went from being a fitness model and a manager. Somebody that didn't know what the hell she was doing in the ring, mainly because they just probably threw her out there. She trained hard. Finlay and others, I'm sure, worked with her. Trish improved. She became the face of the, of WWE's women's division for a while. And deservedly so. Went in the Hall of Fame. I don't think she's going to make any more appearances. Wrestling-wise, who the fuck knows? I still would have loved to have seen a Trish Stratus-Sasha Banks feud. I don't think we're going to get that, but that's just based on what they did at the Royal Rumble. But Royal 2018 Royal Rumble. But Trish Stratus, for my money, the best women's champion of this era, the 56 to 2010. So yes, that is going to be the end of that list. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening to the rants and the fact that I went totally off topic on a few things because I have to rant about things. But anyway, agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I will see you soon.